Hi, my name's Paul Grogan and welcome to episode 54 of the Gaming Rules podcast, where I talk about the games that I've been playing and various other things that I've been up to. This week I'm joined by Tom Heath and Ben Maddox, and we're talking about some of our experiences of Essen 2017 and some of the games that we've been playing there. This is also the first podcast that I've recorded during my time when my Patreon is now considered live. I launched it back in October, but Patreon takes payment on the first of the month, so this is the first month where I'm considering it live. If you enjoy the content I produce, either this podcast or my videos or anything else, please consider supporting me over on Patreon, and there are secret benefits too. And speaking of Patreon, the following people also started supporting me between the last podcast and the start of November. So anyone who supported me in November will get a mention at the start of December. So thank you to two new executive producers, Robert Compton and Mick Wood, and also some extra producers, Peter Hofgaard-Moller from Tabletop Together, Dave Banks from Geek Dad, Christopher McKenney, Mohammed Al-Atiki, I don't know if that's the correct pronunciation, Katie from Katie's Game Corner, Stephen Wagstaff and Hakon Soderland. There's some extra backers too, which is Neil Pert, Angelus Morningstar, Scott Little, Joel Eddy from Drive-Thru Review, Stuart Platt, Leanne Weaver, the official Gaming Rules cashew nut provider, Abdullah Kazim, Eric Myers, Lynn Davis, Tristan Hall from Hall or Nothing Productions, and Douglas Sedman. And of course, as always, thanks very much to the sponsors of the show, Gameslaw, the UK's largest specialist games retailer at gameslaw.com. So, on with the show. Let's say hello to Tom again.
Hello.
And a very warm Gaming Rules welcome to Mr. Ben Maddox, co-host of the Perfect Information podcast.
Good afternoon. I am so surprised at how palatial Gaming Rules headquarters is. You must really be raking in the money, Paul. You've got butlers and everything.
The helicopter's in for repair at the moment, so that's draining my resources a little bit.
Well,
but...
I mean, I was a little bit miffed that you just sent one of those limos with a swimming pool in the back to pick me up. I was expecting a Learjet, but, you know, you can't always get what you want.
No. Tom's got that at the moment. So, yes, so thank you for it. Now, Ben, you've been wanting to come on the show for a while. I've been wanting to have you on for a while, but... until recently, I didn't feel that the podcast was ready and it didn't deserve your presence. So,
well, that's absolutely true. I mean, you can hear from just simply the way I speak that I'm a different class. And now the podcast is ready for me.
Yes. So 53 episodes have just been practicing. So the last podcast we did, episode 53, was me, Tom and Matt talking about Essen and all the games we were looking forward to. This podcast is all about our Essen trip. Now, Matt's not on because he didn't go to Essen, but we all did. So
perfect choice for the Essen build-up show, really.
Exactly. So let's talk about our Essen trip, some of the games that we played, which ones were good, which ones were not so good, and then anything else in general, really. So I'm going to start us off. I played absolutely nothing. So that's me done. Right, over to you, Tom.
Okay. Well, I didn't play much in Essen. It seemed to just be walking around in circles, trying to find people, and just buy all of the games possible. But
so you didn't do much playing of games
not
at
much,
Essen?
no. Well, I remember, at first I thought none. I played a game called Welcome To, that's just a little... it's not a roll and write game because you're not rolling dice.
Okay.
But, you know, like Avenue where you draw a card and then everybody can choose from that. It's like one of those games.
Welcome to what?
It's just ... Maybe it's because the game isn't finished yet.
That's a lot of suspense. I don't think I could deal with such a level of suspense.
Is it a prototype then? Was it not a finished game?
It seemed pretty polished, but they didn't. I don't think they had a box for it, and they were just kind of saying coming soon. There was under construction tape on the table, but that was very, very good.
Did the coming soon have an ellipsis afterwards as well? Was this a stylistic thing?
It might have been an exclamation mark.
Ooh.
Well, we all like exclamation marks.
Well, if you like your punctuation, Welcome To is clearly your game.
Yeah.
Well, if anyone here, if we've got any crossover from my show, I was sick as a dog throughout the entire of Essen.
Was it the entire of Essen then?
Well, I sort of got there on the Wednesday and I felt a bit ropey, and then the Thursday it sort of kicked in and I could barely speak and I had to sort of power through with alcohol, you know. So Essen is never really about gaming for me. It's about buying games and it's about meeting people. But I did play a few. I played Voodoo Prince, which is the new trick taker from Dr. Rainer Knizia.
Okay.
And it's no Skull King, but it's really good, really enjoyable. I adore trick-taking games. They're absolutely, I think, my favourite genre of game.
Well, it's a good genre to have as your favourite because every year there's many trick-taking games that come out. So.
Well, that's it, absolutely. And I was watching your video, actually, your wonderfully handsome face, and you were talking about Bottle Imp, and I'm really annoyed I didn't pick it up.
Yeah, which is an old game, somebody told me, like 1994, 1995, something. So, yeah.
And I played one of the potential hot games from the show, which was Lagerstätten, which is the Japon brand game. It looks very stark. It's very sleek. It's, you know, the graphic design is gorgeous and very on point. And it's about digging for dinosaur bones and then putting the dinosaurs together. Okay. And it had some really nice ideas, but it felt like a game that was a year out from being published. It needed play testing. So basically the mechanics were there, but the problem was it needed refining. The maths was all wrong. And so it just, all the tension was... So, for example, you collect these sets of dinosaurs, and there was no difference in points awarded if you collected a dinosaur that was a set of 2 or a dinosaur that was a set of 4. And so why would you collect a set of 4? I mean, it's utterly pointless, right? Because it offers you no greater advantage. Little things like that, which was a shame because it's a beautiful game, but it really needed tightening up, I think.
Now, when you say that's potentially one of the hot games from Essen, if I've got my facts correct, it's Japon brand, so there was only 200 copies there, and there will never be any other copies in existence. Is that how Japon brand work?
Yeah, it's this thing though, Japon brands. You have these games that they come out and they become the buzz of the con. So a friend of mine bought Lagerstätten and we played another copy and he went, "Oh, I've got to try and sell this now. I don't want it." So Japon brand was sort of selling the games they hadn't sold. And he just met someone in the queue and said, "Oh, I've got a copy of Lagerstätten in my bag." And this person's eyes lit up and they sort of, "Oh, I'll buy it from you." And he sold it in 30 seconds because that's the thing with these Japon brand games. They really get people's acquisition disorder firing and they really want to get them. I got a couple of games. I got Perfect Hotel and Sakura Hunt and Laurel Crown. And I love these little hipster Japanese games, but it is a lottery. Some are great and some misfire,
Yeah. So one of the things that I wanted to say is that a lot of people have the impression of Essen is that you can't play games there. It is just busy exhibit halls and there's nowhere to play games. I don't think that's true. In the years that I was going to Essen before I started working at it, there was plenty of opportunity to play games. You just had to hang around the booth long enough to find a free table, sit down, play, and you were able to play lots of games. It isn't as bad, I think, as people say.
Well, it's the thing, people tell me with Gen Con, I haven't been, but with Gen Con you don't get full demos, right? You just get 2 or 3 rounds and they go, "That's the gist of the game, give us your money, please." Where at Essen, if you sit down to demo a game, you play the game. Unless you stand up and say, "Thanks, I've seen enough," you can sit and you can play the entire game from beginning to end. And there's lots of gaming and lots of gaming with new games, right?
Yeah. I think that depends on the publisher rather than location.
Well, I guess so, yeah.
So, Tom, did you play anything else then at Essen?
I played a demo of a game that's coming soon. It's called Chronicles of Crime.
Another one that's coming soon.
Yeah, it's another one. This is going to be coming soon to Kickstarter, so coming soon to coming soon. But
did you use Essen as an opportunity to try these new games that aren't yet out?
No.
Oh, right.
I don't want to say I was forced.
Right.
But I was asked to play them.
Okay.
But not welcome to. I saw John Perkis tweeting about that, and it looked good.
Right.
So I went to play that. But Chronicles of Crime is it's kind of they want to bring it out as Sherlock Holmes consulting detective, but it's got an app and it's kind of condensed. So rather than people having to read paragraphs, it's done through shorter dialogue pieces. But it's we played a half-hour demo of what they've got ready for that so far. It's set in London. You are police. You're told by the commissioner at the start. You're told what the situation is. This girl's been killed. We went to a park. We spoke to some disgruntled man there, and then you can put these little goggles on your phone, and it makes them, the type of 3D where it splits the screen in two, the Google Cardboard kind.
Oh yeah.
So it does that by you putting these little goggles on your screen because you're going to be taking it off and putting it on a lot.
Okay.
And then you can VR look around the crime scene and you see a purse on the floor. So then there's some cards on the table. So everybody else scrambles to find the purse card, and then they've all got QR codes on them. So you can through some combination, you can scan the man and then scan the item, and that asks about the item. It seems really, really cool. But I suppose it'll depend on how the stories are in the end.
Yeah, because how many games were on the Eric Martin's BGG Essen list?
About 1,100, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, but there were only 800 new games out. I say only. So those extra 300 were things like this. People with prototypes of games that are coming soon and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of that there.
And the thing is, in my previous years, I've been a little burnt with these kind of games. You sit down and you go, oh, that looks interesting. And then you realise it's absolutely dreadful. But you've got this lovely, sweet-faced person there looking really eagerly at you because it's their baby. And you don't want to say anything, and you don't want to get up and leave early because that's going to make them feel bad. So you plough through this 7-hour roll and move game about running a fish and chip shop, and you're just like, no, that was great. I'll definitely think about it on Kickstarter. And the entire day's gone, So I avoid those like the plague.
Yeah. So although I didn't play any games at Essen, I've played a few since I got back. So the first one I've played is Nusfjord, Uwe Rosenberg's new game. The reason this got played is Friday night there were 5 of us, and it takes 5. So I was all up for playing Transatlantic or something like that. But basically, on a Friday night, we see how many people turn up, and then we choose a game. And that one takes 5, and it wasn't supposed to be overly long. So we sat down to play it. And it was about 2 hours for 5 of us, all new, with learning from the rulebook. Nobody had read the rulebook beforehand.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how compact and efficient it is in terms of length.
Have you played it then?
Yeah, I played it a couple of times now. I played it the last weekend.
Right.
And I mean, sort of lengthwise, it's just about the perfect length to depth ratio, I would say.
Yeah.
Because it's not a big, heavy one.
Yeah, it's got similarities to some of his other games. People were like, oh, this is a bit like Glass Road. And I'm like, yeah, that bit is there, but I don't, it's when people say, oh, it's a bit like Glass Road. No, that particular mechanic there is, but don't say it's like Glass Road because the core mechanic of Glass Road, it's nothing like that.
Right, yeah, it has the buildings element.
Yes.
But whereas Glass Road, to me, felt truncated. It felt like it finished a little early, and I felt like I didn't have the opportunity to do as much as I wanted to do. Here, you have ample opportunity to build as many buildings as you wish and go in whichever directions you wish,
So yeah, I played that. I certainly enjoyed it. I think the other people enjoyed it and definitely want to play that more. As I say, the first game we were learning from the rulebook, so we were all a little unsure as to what we do. But yeah, that played really nicely. I like the way that the shares worked. I like the way that the fish were distributed at the start of the turn. So yeah, that was good. What else, Ben? What else have you played, either at Essen or just afterwards?
So I probably had a more intense gaming session the evening I got back from Essen than I did at any point at Essen.
Right.
Because for those who weren't there was a storm in Germany and all the trains got cancelled. And so I had to stay in Essen an extra night. And then I ended up getting back on the Monday night and a friend stayed with me here. And the first game we played was Dragon's Castle from Horrible Games.
Oh, yeah.
Which is this mahjong-y sort of thing.
Yes.
Now, I've never played mahjong. I have no idea what it's like. Apparently the tiles are similar.
Yeah.
And this is essentially an abstract where you have mahjong tiles and there are certain restrictions as to which ones you can take, and then you're building what they call palaces. When you take a tile, you put them on your own player board and you're building up to certain levels, and if you put roof caps on them, then you get extra points, and you're just trying to build these castles to build points. Now, I don't usually like abstract games, but there's something about the sheer tactility of these beautiful Bakelite pieces for a start, and it's a really knotty, good. I played it with 2 players, 2-player abstract game that lasts about 25-30 minutes and was thoroughly engaging, thoroughly fun, and I guess the best word, and this is not damning it with faint praise, pleasant. It was an utterly pleasant, unstressful experience, and I'd highly recommend it.
Right. Well, I'm getting a copy of that sometime in the new year. I've got a friend who works at Horrible Games, and I have played Mahjong. So it's rummy with tiles. Is the easiest way to describe Mahjong.
Right. Then this is absolutely has no relation to that whatsoever.
No, he's just using Mahjong style pieces for it. But
Yeah.
I've heard good things about this game from other people, so that's nice to hear.
Yeah, no, I thoroughly adored it, in fact.
That's good.
So your travel back was I mean, I stayed an extra night anyway because I had the CGE. I had a meeting with CGE on the Sunday, and then we had a CGE meal. So I was staying over anyway. But there were storms. I didn't hear about these.
Yeah, so there was a storm, I can't remember what it's called now, in Germany.
Storm Brian.
It
probably?
was Storm Helmut, I think.
Okay.
And basically, yeah, we woke up in the morning and they said, oh, the trains are going to be delayed. And by midday, they said, okay, there's no trains going to be running until 6 o'clock. Like, okay, and it's going to be packed and it's going to be a pain in the rear end getting back, but at least we'll get back. Then at 3 o'clock, Deutsche Bahn just said, no trains today at all.
Right.
And luckily, we were staying in a accommodation, and the woman was fine. She said, we had to pay, of course, but you can stay an extra night, so that was no stress.
Okay.
But the train on the way back, of course, was absolutely packed. But because I'm a dreadful nerd, I always take a camping chair with me. So you had all these miserable-looking, jealous people standing around while I was safely ensconced in my camping chair, drinking
Brilliant.
beer and swearing a lot. It was, and I often find this, for the last 2 years, probably my favourite part of Essen has been the train journey on the way back.
Okay.
We all stock up on beers, and then we all just sit in the train and get slowly drunk as we fly back to Berlin along the German rails, and it's utterly pleasant.
So, Tom, you drove this year, or a friend of yours drove.
Yes. Yeah, he drove for us.
You had an eventful journey home, didn't you?
Yeah, tyre blew up.
Ooh, crikey.
Yeah, which it sounds way more exciting than it was. Well, not exciting, more devastating.
You didn't die then?
No. I just about got through. But yeah, it just felt like a little judder, and so we stopped the car, and then the tyre had blown. But maybe it was the sheer weight of games keeping the car
Probably
from
was.
shooting up into the air. But yeah, that was a bit weird, but they were very lovely. It was in Belgium. We'd just crossed over the border. There's a bump between the Netherlands and Belgium, which they really need to get sorted out. But yeah,
On the border, is it, to keep out the people from the Netherlands?
Just to
keep
make
them
sure
out.
that you get
The very small Belgians, you see. They don't want them going in.
But yeah, they were very lovely, very helpful. We were shocked at how helpful roadside assistance was.
Okay.
And after a few hours,
It wasn't a
got on our way
gruff
again.
man from Preston
No,
shaking his head at you, implying you're an idiot because you don't know how to fix a car.
No, someone actually concerned with people that might be in trouble. It was shocking. I'd never encountered it before.
That's good. So you got home later than planned?
Yeah, much later. I think it was near midnight on the Sunday where we were going to be there all day maybe. Well, I don't know if we'd both get games, but I would get games ready.
Okay.
Maybe get some solo games in, but yeah, we've caught up, I think. We've played quite a few since.
Well, speaking of tactile games, Dragon Castle, I played Azul.
Ooh.
Which was out at Gen Con. I heard lots of people talking about it at Gen Con. I didn't play it, just heard lots of people talking about it and saying it was really good. I didn't really know much about it, and I played it last Wednesday. A friend of mine, Mark, bought it at Essen, and really, really good. I was very impressed. I know games over the last few years seem to have been getting more, lighter and more gateway-y. And every year I say, right, that is now my new gateway game. And Azul was just, you used the word pleasant, and I would probably say the same thing. It was really easy to explain. It played in about 20-25 minutes. It had some interesting decisions. That was it. It was just nice. And the pieces are gorgeous. So
and there really is a place in anyone's collection. I love big, heavy. I picked up Indonesia from Splotter and Essen.
Yep.
And I love big, heavy, long. You're familiar with Through the Ages, which is probably my number 3 or number 2 game at this point. It's wonderful, but there is a real place for a good, pleasant 30 minutes where you don't walk out of it feeling you've gone 10 rounds with Mike Tyson, right?
yeah, either end of the night for gamers, or the club that I run on a Wednesday is designed to attract non-gamers, general members of the public, to come along and just see what modern gaming is about. And Azul is one of those games that so fits well in that category.
So I heard there was shouts. People have already started shouting Azul for Spiel des Jahres. What would you say?
Yes.
Is it that weight?
Well, what was it last year? King Domino? We're talking the main Spiel des Jahres rather than the Kenner Spiel.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it probably is. There isn't that much to it. I mean, we just played with the basic rules. We didn't use the advanced side. We didn't use the Joker tiles. So, yeah, probably fits very nicely into that. And what is nice as well is it's Michael Kiesling. Now, when I was getting into gaming in the late 90s, there was so many games out there that were Kiesling and Kramer, and they worked on games together, and they were your solid Euro games. And it's nice to see that they're adapting and they're making more, modern style games. As I say, these more gateway ones that are easier to play, easier to learn, and take less time to play.
Well, it was the year of Kiesling, wasn't it? He had Riverboat, Azul, and the one I picked up, which I haven't played yet, and I'm dying to, which was Heaven and Ale. Yeah,
I've heard good things about that.
I hope so, because I bought it sight unseen, and you got some nice promo beer mats with it, which are very pretty. And I'm hoping it's going to be amazing, because while I enjoyed Nusfjord, it wasn't this this is my new favourite Euro game. Yeah. And I'm hoping that Heaven and Ale will fill that niche.
Okay. I mean, I don't know much about it, apart from the name, and I've seen the front cover, and,
It's one of that... I've read the rules, and Trajan?
Yeah.
Where you do actions and you move around the thing, and once you've moved around that sort of action track, the game ends sort of thing.
Right. Yeah.
It has that similar thing, except whereas in Trajan, you move that action thing around when you move things. I'm brilliant at explaining this.
You are. It's fantastic.
I'm using a lot of words like things.
For those people listening to the podcast, you can't see, but Ben is waving his arms around wildly. So
see, if this was a video cast, Paul, people would be so completely in the clear.
I know.
Anyway, you move this thing, and once you've moved your action track around a number of times, the game ends. Heaven and Ale... You don't have the bowls, but what you do is you have an action track that goes all the way around the board, and each space has an action you can do, and you can move forward but not backwards. And once someone's gone around the action track fully, the round ends, and you play a certain number of rounds, and you build beer or something.
Okay.
I said I've read the rule book, that's what I gleaned from it.
So Tom, what else have you played since Essen?
Well, I played the other... Michael Kiesling, Reworld, with it's a Kramer and Kiesling.
That was the other game that was also at Eggertspiel, as well as Heaven and Ale.
Yeah.
So Kiesling did both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's
okay.
Yeah, I bought Heaven and Ale. I don't know anything about it as well. Mainly, I bought Riverboat as well, just because I want to see what all of the Michael Kiesling games are. But we've played Reworld though. That's the difference,
right?
And it's interesting because it's in two halves. So the first half of the game is round by round. There'll be all these modules. The theme is that we are escaping to a new planet. We're trying to make all of these sections of a planet inhabitable so that humans can, I don't know, go have a holiday there. And so the first half of the game is. Every round there'll be so many tiles around this ship, and you can place cards to claim these tiles. So you've got 5 ports on your player board, and if I play a 1 to pick up this tile, it goes in the 1 port. And you start building on the left-hand side of your player board and build outwards from the left. So the whole first half of the game is building up these tiles, and then once we've had so many rounds of that, we flip over, and now you can take tiles that you've drafted in the first half of the game and put them on the other side of your player board on their other side, which starts terraforming these tracks or whatever the story is. But it's programming because you've put them in a certain order on all of these tracks, and you can only take from the left of these tracks.
Okay.
So as you've been taking the tiles in the first half of the game, you have to be thinking that, well, if I put this in this order, I'm never going to be able to get to this tile, or if I put this out, I haven't even got a C tile yet, so it's going to be going nowhere. So we've only played it once, so I think it's going to need at least a couple of plays to kind of
the order's important.
Make sense in the first half what you should really be going for. Like in the end, once we'd had to throw away a fair number of tiles or realised a load of mistakes, we know far better for next time, oh, we actually need to be thinking about this at the beginning of the game. These tiles aren't as important as we thought. But it was really, really cool. Yeah,
there are certain games that have this thing and they build up to like a second phase. I'm thinking of Asgard by Watch Your Game. There's two distinct phases, and the first time you play, you have literally no idea what impact the first phase is going to have on the second phase.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, when I played Asgard the first time, I got to the end and I scored no points because what I thought was making sense didn't make sense for the second phase of the game. So they're really interesting to discover. And once you play it once, you go, now I've got something to glom onto, you know.
Okay, so Reworld, positive impression.
I thought so. Really good.
Okay.
Even though we didn't really, we had that kind of trouble of not really knowing where we were headed, but I thought it was really good.
So another game that I played recently, and I won't talk too much about this because it's from one of my clients and I was involved in it, but that's Loot Island. And I just wanted to say that the game's fine. There's nothing wrong with the game.
It's gorgeous.
The problem is that one of the characters in the game, I don't know, it just looks really, really unusual, really off-putting.
Tell me more. How unusual in an incredibly sexually stimulating manner? Is that what you mean?
That was the problem. I was I had to keep going for a cold shower. So
I've heard this about Loot Island. It's the big problem that most people have with it is they open the box and they look at the red character card and they just become so overcome with lust that they're unable to compose themselves to play the game.
Yeah, so Tom probably hasn't got a clue what we're talking about, but Ben's likeness is one of the characters in the game. So
I haven't opened the box yet, so I can't comment on what's going to happen when I see that card.
Don't do it. Don't do it, Tom. Don't do it, Tom. You won't leave the bedroom for the weekend when you do.
So I had to play it because I'm working on the rules video, which should be done by the end of the month, and I've written the script for the video, but at the moment it's just the first draft of the script, and all it is right, here's the rules. But what I want to put in there is I want to put some examples in there of, like, rather than just saying, oh, you can discard 2 cards to do this, I want to put in the video the reason why you would want to do that and what benefit you would get from doing it. So I felt that I needed to play it at least once to actually sort of, learn how those things fit together. And having played it, I've picked that up. So I can now go back to the script and add in those examples, because there's definitely some, it's not high on player interaction. You're not going around beating each other up or anything, but the small island tiles where you can basically discard 2 cards of the same colour from your hand to use one of these small island tiles, and that gives you an ability, or you could choose to not use the ability. So you're literally spending 2 cards from your hand to choose an ability and then not do it. And it's clever because the reason why you would do that is because if somebody else was to do that ability, you would get completely screwed. So you have to basically take it and not do it.
It's that wonderful... Yeah, it's that wonderful passive aggression that Euro games excel in so well. And it really is with that game. It's even slightly more satisfying discarding the cards and then just simply turning the tile over and not using it.
And then the looks that you get from the other people at the table when they realise... Because you knew that they knew what they were going to do if you didn't do it. So, so that's Loot Island from What's Your Game. Video coming end of the month, hopefully. Right, go on then. Another game you've played.
Yeah, so I had a very fractious game of Tulip Bubble the other day.
I've heard lots of good things about this.
This game is really clever. Because often you get these hipstery games and they look beautiful and you open the box and you play them, there's not a lot in there.
Yeah.
This game is really clever, really innovative and really interesting. But, my God, it's mean. Or has the capability to be mean. And we had this game of Tulip Bubble and one guy just didn't take to the game at all and had this big meltdown in the middle of the game and, was telling everyone to shut up and got really aggressive. And then we played the rest of the game in this sort of with this black cloud hovering over us and completely no enthusiasm. So
was that because he just didn't get the game?
Yeah, he has issues because it's one of those games where you kind of have to get in the head of the opponents and you have to sort of work out what they're going to do and beat them to the punch.
Okay.
And he hates those kind of games. He really likes the kind of games where he sits, he has his little world, and basically no one interferes with him. And when he has to try and figure out what other people are doing, it just makes him angry.
Right.
And he just got angry.
Okay.
You compound that with the possibility to then, kick someone when they're down, which this game has. And it was like me when I played Through the Ages with a group of people who knew it really well, and it was my first time of playing.
I remember you talking about that.
I lost my... I'm not going to swear on your show, Paul. I'm going to be respectful. But I got very angry and I flipped the table. And this guy was very close to doing the same. So I need to play it again to be able to judge adequately whether it's a good game or not.
Yeah, there was a lot of people talking about this game beforehand. I think Heavy Cardboard were mentioning it as well. And I found the stand because I was wandering around, I think, on the Tuesday with Isaac Childress. And we wandered by the stand and I saw, oh, Tulip Bubble. And it was just tucked away in the back of Hall 7 or something like that, and I thought that's the game that lots and lots of people are talking about, and then it had sold out like on the Friday or something. They had another game, Mini Rails, as well, which is supposed to be good.
And Georgios, my partner on the podcast, has played Mini Rails and says it's great. Tony Boydell of game designing fame says Mini Rails is amazing. And yeah, they've got definitely 2 games. Tulip Bubble is, no question, Tulip Bubble is super clever. And I think this company, I mean, they're a Chinese company, and I don't know what their deal is with distribution and that sort of stuff, but if they continue to make games that are this clever, this interesting, and this innovative, it's not going to be long before Mo Ideas are mentioned in the same breath as other bigger companies,
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely keep an eye out for those are 2 games that I didn't pick up. Nobody I know picked up, and they're both getting quite a lot of buzz at the moment. So, did you pick either of them up, Tom?
No, I can't remember about the other one, but I think Tulip Bubble, isn't it 3+ players?
Yeah, that's right.
I just skipped past the 3+ players.
So you skipped past that?
Yeah, so I didn't know anything about it at all.
Right, who wants to go next with another game? Meeple Circus. I played Meeple Circus.
And?
Albeit with the wrong rules, but it worked fine.
Yeah, we played with the wrong rules.
It's good. Which rules did you play wrong?
You tweeted that picture of the thing saying that things needed to be standing on their side, or it's all backwards,
so did you
isn't
play it as per what was written?
I think so.
Which is the opposite of what it should be.
Yeah, it was. There were a couple of weird things going on with it. But I think we got the gist of the game. I think the experience wasn't affected.
It's another game that I can take to complete non-gamers, and they'll have fun. It's a dexterity game. It's a bit of fun, but it's all right. It's good. It's got you draft the card at the start, so it teaches them the basics of drafting, and then you've just got 2 minutes to try and make your circus and balance things one on top of the other. But it was fine.
There was quite a lot of hype for this game going into Essen. And then I spoke to people afterwards, and that was the general impression I got. Yeah, it's fine. It's good.
Yeah.
I saw very little, oh my God, you have to get this game. Mostly it was sort of like, yeah, no, it's good. It's fun.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun. It's got lots of little, custom-shaped meeples and things like that, and it's okay. Anyway, enough about the games I've played. Tom, I see you've got a massive list here in the Google Doc, but we're not going to go through all of them, so pick out your favourite ones.
Altiplano.
Good?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I really liked Orleans. And
how similar is it to Orleans?
Surprisingly different. It was one that I'd only glanced at the rules because I thought I'm going to get this no matter what. And then when we actually sat down to play it, I was surprised how different it felt. That it's not just, I was expecting Orleans with a few differences, but it seems like its own thing. Like it seems like a little thing, but in Orleans you put the tokens back in the bag as soon as you use the action. So as soon as you got new things, you could potentially draw it straight out next turn. And this works more like a deck builder in that you've got a little cardboard crate, and all of your used tokens and new tokens go in that. And once your bag's empty, you empty the container into that. So you're always stuck with what's in your bag there. That's just a little thing. It's all about it's all about goods really. All of your tiles are goods, and you're using them to kind of upgrade to better goods, or get extension tiles that let you have more action spaces. Because like in Orleans, the player board is limited to a certain number of actions, and to do more powerful things, you can get the extensions and stuff. But there's a nice thing in the warehouse where it's another similar thing to the other game. You'll send tiles away so that they're not in your bag anymore. But here, there's certain rules to how they go into your warehouse. So each tile needs to be on a new row, and any future tiles of those types need to fill out the row. But once you've filled out rows, you get bonus points, and you can get a ton doing that, or you can get order tiles and give up your tiles that way and get a load of points. There seems like a lot of different ways to go, and you get guided in the start with a roll that you get in a special little action. I really enjoyed it.
I mean, I've heard mostly good things about this. There was one person who I know that played it at Essen who said it wasn't as good as he was expecting, and he'll just stick with Orleans. But apart from that, most people have said it's pretty good. And again, going back to, I don't have a copy myself, but Mark, who lives around the corner, does. So that's going to get played at some point.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played it. It was sold out so quick, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so, someone in my group will have it too. So I'll definitely give it a go, because I adore Orleans, both the base game and the co-op version, which is really very good. Okay. And yeah, Rainer Stockhausen. I've got a game for Rainer Stockhausen here. About a year ago, there's a German board game shop, and they were giving a game away for free. All you had to do was pay €3 postage, right? Okay. And it's called Lübeck by Rainer Stockhausen. And I've got it on my shelf, and I still haven't played it. So I need to try that as well. Okay.
They were just giving a game away to the first person?
They were just giving a game away.
Right.
But I don't know why.
Get in there. What else have I played? So, Oh My Goods is not a new game, but I picked that up at Essen, and I played that twice since. So I quite like that. And I played Isle of Skye this week. I was having an Alexander Pfister night.
With the expansion, the new Funky Donkey expansion?
Just the base game. Just the base game. We got it out, and I thought, I've never played this. I never played it because people described it to me as Carcassonne with bidding, and I'm not a big fan of Carcassonne at all. And having played it, I wouldn't call it that.
No.
At all.
It didn't feel at all like Carcassonne. I mean, there's the tile laying bit, but...
There's the tile laying, but that's it. So I'm really glad that I played it, and that's another game which I'd be happy to play again.
Yeah, it was really interesting. The first time I played Isle of Skye, I didn't enjoy it at all. I've got a number of games in my collection that are like this, and I played it, it's very quick. There was a sort of spate of Euro games, and they all seemed to finish 3 turns too early. And I thought, this finishes very quick. But then I played it another couple of times, and now it's really up there for me. It's a really nice game. I prefer Broom Service from them, but Isle of Skye is great too. Right, okay. Another game. Right, this is probably the last one I've played since Essen. And this is not an Essen game, but I was given it at Essen, and it is the upcoming review in the latest episode of our podcast.
Oh, right.
This, again, is another 2-player game, and spoilers, I love this game. I think it's quick, but it's really meaty, gives you lots of interesting decisions, and is just thoroughly knotty and enjoyable. And that's The Cousins' War from Surprise Stare.
So you're going to be playing this a few times and then doing a full review of it on your podcast?
The review comes out on Monday, in fact.
Right, okay.
I've just finished editing the review, in fact. So I've played it 6 or 7 times now, because it's really quick. It's 20 minutes, 25 minutes, but it packs a whole lot of game into that 25 minutes. It is really good fun. It has distinct phases, but they all seem to meld together and flow into each other really nice. It's super intuitive. And it has just a little bit of chaos with dice rolling, and I'd highly recommend it. It's really good. It's super cheap as well. Cousins War.
I have a copy. I just haven't played it yet. David Mortimer's a friend of the show. He listens in, so he'll be happy to hear that we're talking about his game.
Well, David, listen to the Perfect Information podcast as well, where I go into more depth.
Right, Tom, over to you then. Next
Another
best game
game?
that you've played. Yeah.
We played Kitchen Rush.
Yeah.
That was technically at night. Well, we were in Germany,
Right.
but
So this was one of the evenings after the fair. You went back and played Kitchen Rush.
yeah, and it was probably the maximum level that we could cope with of learning. But yeah, it was everything that I hoped it would be. It's a real-time game where you are running a restaurant, and it's one of the couple of games this year with your workers are sand timers.
Yeah.
And so you can only move them once the sands run out. You throw them on an action, do the action as quick as you can, and then you have to wait until the sands run out. But yeah, I'd expected that of the theme really fits that hectic nature, and that you've got 4 minutes for the whole round, and you've got a sand timer that you can share between you, so that you're constantly kind of not fighting, but everybody needs that, and you've really got to communicate. That was our problem when we lost. But I think it was just we weren't used to. There's a bag that spices go in, and the bag is there to throw the information off. You can't see them at a glance. What's in this bag? The other player might have taken them for their dishes, and maybe like you've thrown. It happened quite a few times. We've thrown a worker on the open the spice bag action, and you go in there. What you need isn't there. Your worker's wasted. You now need to scramble another one to go to the shops, but there's no money, so you need to get new customers in. It's just really good and really hectic.
So you talked about this on the pre-Essen podcast.
Yeah.
And it did live up to your expectations?
Yeah. We've only played it once, and we lost. But despite that, yeah, it was really good, and exactly what I was hoping for. Like,
right.
It was really hectic, but it was constantly, I need to get new customers in. No, you find him a seat. It was really, really good.
And did you pick up Tale of Pirates as well?
Yes, we haven't played that yet, but
I'd be
I'm
really
really
interested
looking
to
forward to
see what you think about the comparison between the two games.
that.
Is there a comparison? Is it the sand timers?
They're both sand timer games. Maybe you could do that as a video, and I could then watch it from here.
Yeah.
No, but far be it from me to plan out your schedule, of course, Tom. But just do that video.
Now.
So Tale of Pirates. I know about Tale of Pirates because one of the designers brought it to a Czech gaming meeting about 2 years ago.
Ah.
And he was playing it then. I thought it looked familiar when I saw it, and I've just looked it up on the Geek, and yeah, it's a big ship.
Yeah.
It's got sand timers all over it, and you're fighting off. Yeah. So yeah, Daniel Tashini, designer of or co-designer of Tzolk'in, he attended one of the Czech gaming meetings that I go over to the Czech Republic for, and yeah, 2 years ago he brought that game, and he said, "Oh yeah, we're working on this." So it's nice to see that it's finally out.
Yeah. I'm really looking forward to that. That's got kind of chapters that you play through that I'm looking forward to. Where any game where it's going to be introducing you to bits of the game at a time, and there's nice little packets to open of whatever secrets are going to be in there. I've been told not to mention anything past game 2, I think, if I play it. But yeah, I'll probably just play the first game when I do a playthrough of it. But yeah,
so you've got a copy of this.
Yes.
You've just not played it yet.
No, not yet. We thought we'd leave it till get back to assemble the ship.
So I need to ask you a question, Tom.
Okay.
Will I regret my pre-order of Charterstone?
I don't know, but we've played one game of it so far, so I can't speak much about it. Not that I would anyway, but I'm really excited at what it could be. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I'm excited anyway. I really like the idea of legacy games in general, but applying it to a worker placement game. I don't know how that's going to work out, but we played with the Automa players as well, because we're playing it with 2 players, and they were really nice. They were annoying, as I think they're supposed to be, but yeah, they were really good at getting in our way or doing powerful versions of actions that we then have to catch up to, and kind of, without spoiling anything, filling in what players would be doing. You're unlocking things, they're doing the same. So it's doing a good job of simulating what other people might be doing on the board. But yeah, we haven't seen much. Well, we have actually. It's really cool how it explains itself as well at the start. I can say that.
So you pre-ordered it, Ben.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it months ago, but because they air freighted it a load in for Essen, so I don't get mine until December at some point.
Right.
I mean, a nice Christmas present. But the thing is, the last Legacy game I played was Seafall.
Yeah.
And let's just put it this way, without me losing my right, I didn't enjoy myself very much. So I'm a little fatigued on the whole Legacy idea from that, and I want something to reinvigorate my love of it, because I loved Pandemic Legacy, of course. So fingers crossed Charterstone will be it.
Yeah, we ended up not going for it in the end for a couple of reasons. I mean, as soon as we were halfway through Pandemic Legacy Season 1, we were like, right, this is it. We're now going to buy every Legacy game that's going. This is a fantastic experience. By the time we'd finished Pandemic Legacy Season 1, we were for us, it kind of petered out a little bit at the end, and we were like, well, okay, then that was all right. But we're Gloomhavening every 2 or 3 weeks. So that is our regular game that we're playing. And between those sessions, we don't have enough time to play all of the other games we've got. And then when I think Charterstone was originally going to be a campaign of 24 scenarios originally, and then that went down to 12, and then we heard it was a bit on the light side. All of those factors contributed us to nobody in my group getting it. And I'm sure it will be an enjoyable experience to play through it, but for the price tag and the amount of time we're going to have to commit to it to go through that, at the moment, don't think we'll fit it in. So we'll see.
No, I have very little room for campaign games in my gaming schedule, and so one at a time. So I'll do Charterstone, then I'll do Pandemic 2, I think.
Yeah. I have heard that it does start off very simple and like a really gateway worker placement game, but by the time that you're at the end of the campaign, it feels like someone said Viticulture with all of the Tuscany expansions turned on.
Mm-hmm. Okay. We shall see then. I mean, if in another year's time, when we've wrapped up as much of Gloomhaven as we want to, then maybe we'll go on to it. But we might go on to Pandemic Legacy Season 2. Not sure yet. So we'll see how it goes.
Or a Gloomhaven expansion.
Well, that's the problem. Yeah, Isaac's working on that, and Vicky, my partner, who's in the Gloomhaven campaign with us, she's a completist like me. So even when we've finished, in quotes, the campaign, we're not going to finish because there's 95 scenarios that come with the game, and we've only done 24 of them, and we've been playing for a year. So we've got so much more content to go through. It's scary. What else have we got to talk about then? Or is that about it? Oh no, I'll tell you what I was going to talk about. Bad games. Who played either a bad game at Essen or got a game, brought it back, and it isn't as good as they were expecting? Do we have any of them?
Yeah.
None. Oh, right. Yeah, you go. You've got one, Tom, so you go.
I've done a couple. Indian Summer. We brought back the new Uwe Rosenberg.
Right.
What is it? Polyomino game.
How did you feel about Cottage Garden?
I didn't like Cottage Garden much. Well, I thought it was very nice, but there wasn't very much there. We didn't really enjoy the scoring or think it was very interesting. And I thought since the way that you kind of filled up your little garden patch and then tipped everything away every time that you finished one, I think it's a nice part of any of these tile laying games that you get to see what you've built up at the end of it.
Right.
You get to see your patchwork quilt or your crazy Feast for Odin thing. You get to see what you've done over the course of the game. I thought that might have taken something away from it, that you're just dumping it at the end of every round. But anyway...
So why did you get Indian Summer then, if Cottage Garden wasn't a big hit for you?
Because, well, one, it's Uwe Rosenberg, and I'm that kind of person, apparently. And also because it was touted when suddenly it was announced that it was a trilogy.
Yeah.
And then this is going to be the gamers one. So if you didn't like Cottage Garden, this is going to be the one for you. This is going to have more interesting parts to it. Like the theme of this is that we're going for an autumn walk, and this is what we saw. These are the animals that we found, and
theme whatever.
A lot of leaves.
Well, I played this about a year ago in prototype form because the publisher is Berlin based, and one of the one of the developers of the company brings the prototypes to game night, and we get to play them. And of course, new Rosenberg game, of course, And at the time, the theme was we were astronomers looking to discover stars in the heavens, which seemed much more plausible to me, and I never quite understood why they changed the theme, to be honest.
No. Some of it might just be down to so they can have it, it looks very nice once it's all laid out. You've got lovely multicoloured leaf tiles, and you're putting little animal tiles on top. So maybe that's part of it. But then there's an extra token that you can get that lets you steal tiles from other players' sections and take them for yourselves. So I don't really like that in games anyway. So aside from that, but then another part of it was just, well, where does this fit into the nice walk that I've seen? Someone's just stolen a part of my walk.
So not a hit then.
No, I think maybe if you I don't know, the stealing wasn't a huge part of it. It's just that it kind of, like when we played Cottage Garden, we played it and nobody was really very excited about it, and at the end we just kind of put it away in glum silence.
Yeah, the thing is, how many games did you come back from Essen with?
Too many. I don't want to.
20?
I don't want to admit it.
25?
I think there was nearly 50.
Wow, my lord.
Okay, so you came back with 50 games. You play one, you don't instantly like it, and the other people at the table also don't instantly like it. Move on. You've got to, because those other 49 games might be all great. And we just don't, 10, 15 years ago, if I played a game and I didn't like it, I'd be like, I'll give it another go. It's probably okay. It's probably just me. Now, just don't have the time. It's just, if I play something and everybody else at the table is like, then we'll forget it. We'll just play a game that we all really liked. So
it's like the transition from CD to MP3. When I had the money to buy one CD every 3 months, I made sure I listened the hell out of that album. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But when, not that I did this is just a purely hypothetical situation. Yeah. But when, you were able to download albums from the internet for free.
Yeah.
And you download 20 albums an afternoon, if something doesn't grab you instantly, you just move on to the next album, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm going through it as a complete aside. I listen to a lot of Radio 4 comedy shows.
Yeah.
And I was downloading them all and putting them all on my computer. Legally, they're on the Radio 4 website, so it's all there. And then the other day, I found a folder with about 100 of them in. And I was like, right, well, some of these are like 2 or 3 years old. And I have them on when I'm either doing the cooking or cleaning the garage or something like that. And if it doesn't grab me, after 2 or 3 minutes, I stop it and I delete it because I've got 90 others to listen to. And then when I've finished with those 90, I'll have another 90, or I've got all the Dresden File audiobooks. And I think it's maybe these days, and it doesn't just apply to games. I'm talking about it applying to Radio 4 comedy shows, but there's so much content out there. There's so much stuff that we can afford to be fussy. And none of us have as much time as we want. We've got to use that time wisely. So,
saying that though, so many there's a number of games that are in my sort of top 50 that I absolutely adore that I really didn't get on with first time I played them. Last Will, I hated Last Will the first time I played it, and now I played it about a month ago again.
Right.
And it's wonderful. Viticulture. I detested Viticulture first time I played it. And now it's my number 2 or number 3 game.
Did you choose to go back to those games, or were you forced into giving it another go?
Well, I bought them, and I tend to buy a lot of games sight unseen. And I bought them and thought, well, I've spent money on this. I should at least give it one more go, right?
So, just a quick interruption. This is Paul in the editing room, and this topic is actually, I think, an interesting one for the guild discussion. So there is a Board Game Geek guild, which I have, which is guild number 2258 over on Board Game Geek. If you're not sure how to join, just please drop me a message and I'll let you know how. And the topic of discussion for this week is games that you really, really didn't like when you first played them, But for whatever reason, you decided to give them another go, and now you really do like them. If there's any games like that that you've got that you can think of, then please contribute on the Guild, and I'd love to hear from you there. And now back to the chatter. Anyway, right, let's start wrapping things up. Tom, tell us about what you do and where people can find you.
I play through board games on YouTube, and the channel's called Slickerdrips.
Can I ask you a question? Where does that come from? Because I love your channel, I love your playthroughs. Your name makes me feel nauseous.
A lot of people say that. It's a very disappointing story. It's the name of a song, and the name, I think, is just made up. It's got no relation to what the song is.
Right.
That's just it. It's a disappointing story, isn't it?
It is. It's a little bit like when I found out that Phil Collins is In the Air Tonight. The lyrics actually didn't have any meaning, because I spent 20 years thinking that they did have meaning, and he knew somebody that murdered somebody and got away with it, and then he saw them, and then he admitted in an interview that he just made up the lyrics. It's all completely made up, and I felt cheated.
Yeah, delete that bit. Delete that bit.
My brother told me it was about a ghost, and so I loved it.
Yeah, I think it's an amazing track, but apparently he just made it up. It's about absolutely nothing whatsoever. But anyway, so Tom can be found on YouTube, Slickerdrips, doing lots of playthrough videos. Most recent one that you did was Lisboa.
Yes, and it's
super light game, so pretty much just a filler, isn't it?
It broke me for a bit. That's why there hasn't been one for a few days.
And Ben, what do you get up to?
I co-host with my able and far more intelligent co-host Yorgos Paniatidis, the Perfect Information Podcast. You can find our website, infoperfected.com. We have an episode coming out this Monday where we talk about board games as a community. Does it exist or is it a myth? And we review the absolutely wonderful Cousins War. Infoperfected.com.
So what game are you all looking forward to playing the next? Give me the one game you're most looking forward to playing.
Heaven and Ale. I'm looking at it right now. The cover is gorgeous. It looks like stained glass windows. It's a knotty, puzzly Euro game. Really looking forward to getting that one.
Okay. And Tom?
That I haven't played yet.
Yeah.
Oh, probably Tale of Pirates.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really excited.
So I think the game probably I'm most looking forward to is Transatlantic, which almost got played this Monday but didn't. But I'm a bit of a Matt Gertz fan, and
does it bear any similarity to Concordia?
Yeah, somebody said if you like Concordia, you'll like this. I hope it's not the same.
No, I think it's got a bit of the card play the same. In
right.
That everyone starts with the same cards. You've got a card that gets back all of your other cards, but you can't just buy cards. You get a new card when you retrieve your cards.
Right.
And the whole rest of the game is there's no map. You're putting ships out. You can have the Titanic.
Okay. There we go. Right. So thanks very much both for joining me, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
Bye.
The Gaming Rules podcast is sponsored by GamesLaw, the UK's largest specialist games retailer at gameslaw.com. And a special thanks to Jason Shaw at audionautics.com for the music used in this podcast. Gaming Rules is a proud member of Punchboard Media, where we all bring something to the table, and a supporter of the Board Game Trading and Chat UK Facebook group. And Gaming Rules is now on Patreon, where you can support me to help me continue creating these podcasts and other content. Until next time, take care and thanks for listening.